Southampton is a pretty well-known club for the talents that it has produced and developed over the years, such as players like Luke Shaw, Gareth Bale, Sadio Mane, Virgil van Dijk, and, of course, Mr. James Ward-Prowse. Now, in today's video, we are going to be rebuilding Southampton and trying to kind of establish the next golden generation for you guys to take over here at Southampton once the 5-year rebuild is complete. Now, one thing that we are going to have to do is try and stave off relegation, because relegation is going to be a big time threat throughout this rebuild, just like they unfortunately have been relegated within reality. Another thing that's going to be pretty difficult is trying to keep hold of these youngsters, because a lot of these youngsters are going to be wanted by the bigger clubs, much bigger clubs than Southampton. One of those players is going to be Romeo Lavia, which hopefully we will be able to try and keep hold of the entire time. But enough of the intro, let's get into the rebuild. So unfortunately for us, off the rip, Southampton literally, they don't have jack in the transfer budget. They also are in the red in the balance, but that is okay. We're going to try and make do with what we currently have to us. Now, we are going to be playing a asymmetric 4-2-4, labeled as a 4-1-1-4, but it's asymmetric 4-2-4. And basically, the objective of this first season, outscore our problems, because we have plenty of them, and hopefully we are able to stay up and stave off relegation, because I do not want to lose, like I have already said, Romeo Lavia, because if we do go down, Man City's probably going to trigger the £40 million release clause within his contract that he has with us, within the sale that happened with Man City, allowing him to come to Southampton. But also, we are going to want to try and keep players like James Ward-Prowse, because I do believe he is a one-club man. But unfortunately, in reality, I think that he may end up leaving. So hopefully we can keep a hold of him as well for as long as we can. But with that being said, let's get on and see how we do within Season 1. So, Season 1 done and dusted, and luckily for us, we finished in 10th, so we definitely did outscore our problems, which was nice. We finished on a +2 goal differential, so we definitely did outscore our problems, because like I said, we got plenty of them. We had 13 wins, 10 draws, 15 losses. But something that's very interesting, Everton ended up getting relegated, and Leeds and Leicester and Southampton all actually stayed up, even though those were the clubs that went down in reality. Everton got relegated, but they're going to be in the Europa Conference League, because I believe they won the Carabao Cup, maybe? Is that what they won? Yep, they won the Carabao Cup. So Everton is going to be in the Championship, but also be in Europe at the same time. Now, even though I did say that we outscored our problems, there was only a player that reached above single-digit goals, and that was Paul Onuachu with 19. So he was our main goal getter, and then Mislav Orsic had 9, Che Adams had 8, and then assist wise, Mr. James Ward-Prowse, of course, with 17 assists. So he was very, very impressive for us. And I mean, average rating wise, we only had 3 players with a 7.0 or above, and it was probably your 3 most important players in Paul Onuachu, Romeo Lavia, and James Ward-Prowse. But now heading into Season 2, we have around £48.5 million to work with, which is definitely going to be plenty to kind of bolster the squad. I am probably going to try and sell some clauses that we have, like on the Luke Shaw deal. I know that we have a option, I think, for like £1 million from that. And then we may end up losing some players. Hopefully none of them are big-time contributors. All right, so here we are about to start Season 2, and transfer budget-wise, we have £83.1 million to spend, and that is after we already brought in everyone that we need to bring in, because if I spend any more, I'll feel like Nottingham Forest and have an absolute army of players. So let's see who we ended up selling to help us have that boatload of cash ready for us. So one of the first players that I ended up letting go was Mr. Jack Stevens. Sold him to Stoke City for $2.2 million, rises to 2.8. Sold Kyle Walker-Peters to Liverpool for $14 million up front, rises to 18. We sold our leading goal scorer from last season, Paul Onuachu, for $37 million up front, rises to 41 to West Ham United. And then unfortunately, we did end up losing James Ward-Prowse to Liverpool. When Liverpool came calling, he wanted to go. I'm not going to stand in the man's way, because I do feel that even though we did finish in 10th, I feel that we're still going to be fighting off relegation for quite some time because we are going to be switching systems now that I feel we have a more balanced team, I guess you could say. But James Ward-Prowse went to Liverpool for around 40 million as well. But the ends is where it gets interesting because I tried to stick to as realistic of a transfer policy as Southampton utilizes within reality, and that's signing 23 and unders basically for all of their signings. I believe only 2 players were over the age of 23, and they were both 24 years of age, I believe. So still very, very young signings. And like I said, we still have 83 million pounds to work with. So come January, we might add some more players. One of the first players I brought in, though, was a player that can play on either wing and at striker, Omar Marmoush from Wolfsburg on a free. Then I brought in a backup right back to play behind Tino Livramento and Milan van Uwijk from SC Heerenveen for 7.5 million. Brought in our new mainstay at the left back position and Mr. Josh Doig from Hellas Verona for 20 million. Then I brought in our James Ward-Prowse replacement. This was the one that we splashed the cash out on because we got 41 million pounds for Ward-Prowse and it rises to 53. We basically spent all of that on this player alone. Lazar Samardzic, I believe is how you pronounce his name. We brought him in from Udinese, and I mean, he looks pretty good attribute-wise. Hopefully he can live up to what I think he will be able to do. I mean, current ability looks good. Potential ability, potential of 5 stars. So hopefully he can live up to that potential. Then we need to replace the goals that Paul Onuachu was banging in for us. So I decided to bring in 2 strikers. The first being Joe Gilhart from Leeds United for 17.5 million pounds. And the second being the new number 9 for the U.S. men's national team, Valerian Balogun from Arsenal for 25 million pounds. Also needed to bring in a defensive midfielder as we're going to be playing a 4-3-3, so I brought in Slis Abdul Samed from RC Lens for around 6.5 million. So this is our oldest signing right here. I actually did go well above the 23-year-old age limit, but this is the one signing that I did do it with, Mr. Irfan Can Kavechi, as we needed a set-piece specialist. 16 corners, 17 free kick taking. Yes, it's not 20s like it was with James Ward-Prowse, but that is about as good as we're going to get. Brought him in for around 10 million pounds. Then our last signing was Mr. Wu Yongjong from Freiburg. He is a winger that can also play striker, center attacking mid. He is, looks to be very solid on paper. Hopefully he can live up to what I think he will be able to do. So far in 2 Premier League games, he has not scored, unfortunately, but hopefully he starts banging them in left, right, and center. In 89 games, he only scored 10 times for Freiburg, but I think that he can definitely kind of become our broke boy version of a Heung-min Son. But like I said, we're going to be playing a 4-3-3 for Season 2. I believe this to be our best 11. Hopefully this best 11 will help us stay up and stave off relegation. Now that we've gone over all that, let's get in and see how we do in Season 2. So, Season 2 did not go anywhere near as well as Season 1. We finished 17th on 40 points. We were safe by 4 points, which definitely not good enough, and actually had to switch from the 4-3-3 so that we could have any chance at staying up. Switch to a 4-2-3-1. The 4-2-3-1 saved us. But going into Season 3, being that we this time finished with a negative 17 goal differential, we definitely need to play a bit more defensively. So I'm feeling a 5 in the back, and signings definitely are going to reflect that. We spent a boatload of that 83 million pounds in January. Well, not really January, but throughout the months after January, so that we're planning for Season 3 basically. But yeah, unfortunately we did not do as well as I would have hoped for in Season 2, but let's see how the players performed. So this time around, we had 2 players in double digits for goals. Number 1 being Valerian Balogun, 24 goals, so living up to what we paid for him, scoring 1 goal less than what we actually paid for him, which was 25 million pounds. Then Mislav Orisic scoring 10. Lazar Samardzic scored 6, assisted 5. Everyone kind of had to chip in assist-wise, I would say, compared to how it would have been if we still had James Ward-Prowse, because James Ward-Prowse would have just been an absolute maestro with the ball if he was still here, but Woo Young Jong, Irfan Cankovic, and Mislav Orsic all having 8 assists. And then Lazar Samardzic with the 5, like I had said previously. And Carlos Alcaraz, all right, these two don't actually count for average ratings. So our average ratings were actually pretty poor. So we definitely need to get that up. Hopefully the 5 in the back that we're going to be playing is going to help us come Season 3. Let's get into Season 3. So for sales for Season 3, the first 3 that I'm going to be talking about, actually their contracts were expiring. So I just want to try and get a little bit something for them so that we might be able to use it towards a player instead of just losing them for absolutely nothing. First one is Duje Kletikar. We sold him to Shakhtar Donetsk. All these players actually went for under $1 million, so we just wanted to get a little bit of something for him. Then we sold Che Adams to Burnley, and we sold Ibrahima Diallo to FC Nantes. And then we also sold Mislav Orsic to Fulham, but we sold him for £7.75 million. We sold James Bree to Bournemouth for 1.3 and Adam Armstrong to Girona for £8 million. But now let's talk about the ins that are definitely and hopefully going to help us big time for the future. First up, we've got Anel Ahmedhodzic from Sheffield United. He's going to be our central defender in that back 3 back there in the back 5. So hopefully he's going to become a big time difference maker for us. Definitely believe so. I mean, the kid has always been rumored to be a wonder kid. He's now 25 years of age, though, so kind of worn off that tag. But he's still very, very good. Next up, we have a player that I think a move would definitely suit him in reality to where he is getting a boatload of playing time because this kid can be very, very good. We got Oliver Skip from Tottenham. We got him for £25 million. Very, very solid. He's going to be playing in the midfield with Romeo Lavia. I think those two can boss the midfield together. Next up, we got another center back, Mr. Cameron Carter-Vickers from Celtic. I wanted someone who is very, very strong. That 16 strength fits the bill, 16 heading as well. Very, very solid, I think, in a back 3 line with Salisu, Ahmedhodzic, and Carter-Vickers. I think they're going to be absolute bosses together. Then I wanted a younger central defender for us and someone that could be a squad player, come off the bench, and help us out when need be. So I brought in Andrew Omobamidele. I believe that's how you say it. Brought him in from Norwich City. Once again, kind of a bigger center back. A little bit of strength he's definitely going to need to develop there, but he is quick, which we definitely want back there as well. So happy to bring him in for £20.5 million. Then I decided to bring in someone with a little bit of versatility that could play right back and left back, right wing back, left wing back as well. He can even play right wing. We brought in Raul Bellanova from Cagliari in the Serie A, and I'm hoping that he is going to be a big time success because I want him to, if Tino Livramento is not playing, because Tino can also play as a center back. If Tino is playing as a center back, he could play right wing back, or if Josh Doig needs a break, he could play left wing back. So kind of had that in mind with the versatility there, but we brought him in for £21 million. Hopefully he lives up to that price tag. Then brought in another center back and Radu Dragushin from Genoa. I believe it was for around like £17.5 million. Another center back, pretty strong. He's got some good stamina to him, great tackling. So hopefully he can definitely add some depth that we definitely need back there, because if we have players that are just absolute beasts on the ball, winning the ball back there, then defensively speaking, we should be much better off than we have been. Then the last signing that I made for £20 million was a goalkeeper, and it's none other than Georgi Mamardashvili, because Valencia were kind of on the outs with him. They didn't really want him. So I was like, you know what? How does £20 million sound? And they're like, yes, absolutely, we will do that. So we got a player who is a big game player and fairly consistent as well, because Bazunu has been all over the place for us. And I mean, he's 6'6", absolute beast of a keeper, so hopefully he can help us not only stay up in the Prem, but potentially maybe push for like a Europa Conference League spot at least. So like I said, we're playing a 5 in the back for Season 3, 5-2-1-2. This is, in my opinion, the kind of best 11. That is why I went with a 5-2-1-2, and I mean, Samardzic definitely going to be integral with how this goes because we need him to not just be a goal scorer, we need him to be a big-time facilitator as well. So hopefully here in Season 3, they do enough to where we stay up and potentially push for a mid-table spot. I think that's a pretty realistic goal, but we shall see. Let's get on and see how we do in Season 3. So, at the end of Season 3, and we barely survived. We survived, as we can see right here, by 1 point on the final day of the season. Man City win back-to-back Premier Leagues. Gee, imagine that. They reloaded because they didn't win it for 1 year, and now they're just absolutely insane. But something that is also insane, yes, we may have finished in 17th and 34 points. If you notice, Blackburn's up here in the Prem, and they finished in 20th on 8 points. So that is officially the worst ever Premier League finish by a club. They somehow beat Derby County's record, and they even beat their goal differential record by 1 goal. They finished on -70. So, I mean, it's rough times at Blackburn, but also rough times right now for us here at Southampton, because we would think that 5 in the back defensively would have probably helped us out a little bit, a 5-2-1-2. Very, very solid in years past, especially, but unfortunately was not to be for this Season 3, but ended up switching to, guess what, 4-2-3-1 once again towards the end of the season, and that is what helped save us and keep us up by 1 point. So I think we need to use a 4-2-3-1 going into Season 4, potentially even Season 5 as well. And thankfully for us, we have basically £52 million in the transfer budget to help us kind of retool and figure out exactly what we need for Season 4, and also to start planning for our golden generation, because now there should be enough pretty good new gens here within the save, within the rebuild, to where we can really push on and be like, okay, we're leaving this in a very, very good spot for all you to take over if you wish to do so. So we're now here getting ready for Season 4, and here are the outs that brought in just a little bit of cash for us. We ended up selling our backup left back because he could not get a work permit for us, unfortunately. We sold him to Hellas Verona for $1.3 million. We moved Jan Bednarek to Watford because his contract was expiring and we just needed to cash out on him while we could. We needed to do the exact same thing here with Musa Gineppo, so we cashed in on him while we could while his contract was expiring, and he decided to go to Mr. 8-Point Blackburn Rovers. And then we sold Joe Aribo to Sassuolo for £7.5 million. So now we move on to what is probably the most Southampton transfer window so far of this rebuild. All of these kids have been either labeled as wonder kids in the past for the IRL players, our current wonder kids in IRL, or new gens that are wonder kids. So let's get into it and see who we brought in. So we brought in James Yakini from Cambuur in the Netherlands for £2 million. We decided to loan him out to Morecambe so that he can get some playing time. Yes, he is only 17, and it kind of works better loaning them out if they're 18 and up, but he's 17 years old. Wanted to get him playing time because I think that this kid can become really good. Right now he's only on 1.5 star current ability, but he has the potential to hit 5 stars. And as someone that can play any of the front 3 positions and for some reason defensive midfield, I think that getting him out on loan will be vital right now to his development. Then we brought in this young fellow right here, 18-year-old Frenchman Clement Boni, who is currently on loan to the team that we actually bought him from. And as you guys can see down here, which I'll move myself so that you guys can see, he had played 28 games for them overall throughout his career so far for them, but a majority of those games were last season because he was playing in the Europa League for them. With these attributes on 1.5 star current ability for us, which I don't know if Saint Etienne is actually that bad to where they had to play him, but they somehow made the Europa League, so I don't know how that works, but they decided to play him and he was doing pretty well. And yeah, we brought him in for £8.5 million. And another player that has the potential to hit 5 stars. And I mean, looking at his attributes, you can definitely see why he could play central midfield, center attacking mid, or striker. And I definitely think that if this player gets the development that he needs, like we are loaning him out to Saint Etienne again, I think that he can definitely be a big time difference maker in the future. Next, we got an absolute steal in my opinion, Pier Antonio Bianchi from Juve for 500K. That is all we had to pay for this kid. I mean, attribute-wise, I think that is I can't speak, an absolute steal, to where 500K for a player with these type of attributes already at the age of 18, potential to get to 3.5 star, center attacking mid, central midfield. At worst, he will be a squad player in the future for us. So, I mean, this kid looks to be something special. Hopefully, we can get him out on loan for him to develop as well. Now we move on to another Frenchman in Liam Vial, who we brought in from Marseille for £4 million. Another 18-year-old wonder kid who is on 1.5 star current ability, potential to get to 4.5 star. And I mean, attribute-wise, very, very solid already. We loaned him out to Charlton Athletic so that he can get the game time that he needs to develop. He can play as a striker, as a number 10, or on the right wing. And hopefully, once again, this is a player that can really, really turn into something, because he was playing for Marseille's second team, which the second teams in France are nothing to sneeze at. They are pretty solid, especially the Monaco second team. And he ended up playing 23 games, scoring 4 goals off the wing. So hopefully he can do something even better for us than that in the future. Next up, we've got a fringe player here that can definitely develop into a squad player, I believe. Paid £6.5 million to bring in Matteo Cancellieri from Lazio. I mean, overall, on paper, looks to be absolutely fantastic. And so far in preseason, as you guys can see down here, in 3 games playing as a striker, he had 4 goals. So, I mean, kid could become an absolute budget beast for us, as we only had to pay £6.5 million to get him. And he can play any of the front 4 positions and kind of down both wings, mainly just the right one though. Now we have probably the biggest signing player-wise of the rebuild so far. We brought in Patrick Wimmer from Wolfsburg, and this kid looks absolutely fantastic. I think we paid around 20-something million pounds to bring him in, but I mean, this kid, once again, on paper, looks to be very, very good, so hopefully he lives up to the bill. And I mean, he can apparently play every single position besides center back and goalkeeper. So that is absolutely insane. 24 years of age. Apparently, he's already hit his potential. I think that he could get a little bit better. Hopefully, we can hang on to him. There is a £50 million release clause in there. I don't see anyone triggering it, though, especially this season. So hopefully, maybe next season we offer him a new contract. We'll see how things go so that we can remove that from his contract. We just got to hope that no one triggers that. Then the last signing that we brought in, I think it was for around 15-17 million pounds, is actually one of the more well-known wonder kids this year in FM. It is Warren Zaire-Emery, and I think that is actually a very realistic signing, because I think that this kid needs a heck of a lot of playing time, and he's not really going to get at PSG, even though down here, I'll move myself again, said he played 29 games for them, but he really didn't do a whole heck of a lot there, and I think that this move's definitely going to help him. Yes, he is only going to be a squad player for us, but I mean, he can play defensive mid, he can play central midfield, and I think that with how he is made up attribute-wise, he could be a slightly different version of what James Ward-Prowse was, because he isn't going to have the free kick ability or corners that James Ward-Prowse did, but I mean, potential-wise, he can definitely hit that James Ward-Prowse level. So now that we have the transfers wrapped up, here's the 4-2-3-1 that we're going to be using. This is the one that's been saving us from relegation. That is what I consider to be the best 11 currently, and I mean, with the depth that we have, I think that maybe, I definitely feel that a mid-table finish is definitely going to be more realistic this year. I was hoping that it was last season, but unfortunately it was not. But I mean, with this side here, I mean, you look at it, it looks very convincing that it should be a mid-table type team, if not pushing for a conference league. And with the depth that they have, I definitely think they'll be able to. And we're already starting to kind of assemble that next golden generation with some of these signings as well. So hopefully everything goes well here in Season 4. Let's get on and see how we do, and then we'll get into Season 5. Alright, so Season 4, done and dusted, and we finished mid-table, so I am happy with that. I definitely thought that was pretty realistic. We actually shot ourselves in the foot at the end, We could have finished in 8th, gotten that Conference League spot, I think, because, I mean, we really, really botched it at the end. We had a 2-1 loss to Arsenal, 2-0 loss to Brighton, who ended up finishing the Conference League spot, 1-1 draw with Villa, 2-2 Bournemouth, 1-0 Palace. That was our last 5. We take points out of all of those, especially the ones that we should have won, and we finish in 8th instead of 13th. But Man United ended Man City's reign, kept them from winning 3 in a row, but Brentford finished in 14th. They're in the UEFA Europa League because Brentford, when I checked, they won the Conference League this past season, so props to them. And hopefully we can use what money we have to kind of bolster the squad for the last season or really solidify our golden generation, because I believe, we have 52 million pounds again, which is kind of around where it has been, besides when we had that 83 million pounds to work with due to some of the sales that we made. But I think that we're doing pretty solid. And looking at the squad, Folarin Balogun had an absolutely incredible season, scoring 37 goals. Last season, I didn't show it. He only had around like 25, but this season, he had 37 goals in all competitions. And I mean, career-wise for us so far, he has not really let us down. He had 24 goals in his first season, then 23 last season, and then 37 this season in all comps. So he is definitely becoming like our talisman for us. He is kind of the guy that makes everything work. And then we got Woo Young-jong being the assist man with 12 assists. And Woo Young-jong is our poor boy version of Heung-min Son. Doesn't score as much as Heung-min Son, but definitely contributes like he does. Especially assist-wise. He's very good in the assist department. Lazar Samardzic, very, very consistent. He hasn't really blown me away with assist numbers or goal numbers or anything, but I mean, he's consistently improving. Potential is at that 4-star potential ability. Another solid season. He underperformed his XG quite a bit though, which sucks, but it is what it is. And Patrick Vemmer with his first season with us, 7 goals, 5 assists, overperformed his XG. So hopefully we can get something a little bit more out of him in Season 5. But speaking of Season 5, let's get on and see how we do transfer-wise and how we do result-wise. All right, so on the outs, we sold one of our youngsters that came through our youth academy, Alessio Barbero, to Watford for £1.2 million. We sold Samuel Odoze for £1.1 million, I believe it was, to Luton Town. Never really got to where he should and probably will in reality. Never really reached that level, unfortunately. Kind of loaned him out a lot to get him to that level, but it just never happened for him, unfortunately. We sold Mo Salisu to Tottenham for £12 million, which didn't want to lose him, but he really wanted to leave to go to Tottenham for some reason. So ended up letting him go for £12 million. We ended up letting Salis Abdul Smed go to Leipzig for £5 million. Now, this sale we did lose quite a bit on from what we signed him for. We let him go to Lyon for $1.1 million when we signed him for $7.5, and then they loaned him out to Montpellier. So, good stuff right there. We then, for some reason, lost Gavin Bazunu to Bayern Munich for him to be their new backup goalkeeper for £1.2 million. Don't know why they wanted Gavin Bazunu as their backup, but I guess more power to him. We then sold Raul Bellanova as Barcelona came calling. He wanted to leave. Can't really tell a player no to Barcelona once Barcelona figures out their financial issues, although I believe in this. All right, yeah. At one point, they were not playing at the Camp Nou. Within this rebuild, I had no idea where they were playing, but now they're back there. I guess they sorted out their financial issues because they now have £230 million in the balance. So yeah, we let him go there, and he was fairly good for us, and I definitely think we got out of him what I wanted, and we actually made a profit on him, which was nice. So now a player that I sold that I actually haven't featured all that much, that will probably feature a lot going forward for Southampton down in the Championship especially, it is Sekou Mara. They brought him in from Bordeaux. I ended up loaning him out, trying to get him game time for him to do pretty well. And he ended up doing pretty well. He fetched us £17 million for a player that I never played once. But he can play in the front three, and if you guys are looking for a cheaper option earlier on in saves, definitely sign him, but he can become pretty good. So for our signings, brought in Mr. Pablo Torre on a free from Barcelona to be a squad player. Can kind of play anything we need him to. Brought in Georgi Petrovic from the New England Revolution to be our cup goalkeeper, to give Mamardashvili a break so that he can kind of be more ready for the league than having to worry about all these different competitions. Then we brought in a wonder kid from Tottenham named Lyle Bish, who is a defensive midfielder mainly, but can play center back and central midfield as well. Has 4.5 potential ability, already on 2-star current ability. Then I decided to bring in probably one of the best names I've ever seen in a rebuild or any save I've done, Kane Full of Love from Chelsea. We brought him in for around, I think it was £27 million around there, maybe 30. But he has 4.5-star potential ability. We have him loaned out to USG to get some game time, and I think that this kid can definitely become a beast for us. At 6'2", 19 years of age, and he's English, so he did kind of have to pay a tax because of that. But I think that he can definitely become pretty good and part of that golden generation. Then we brought in an absolute beast of a defender from Derby County. His name is Tobias Tarrant. And we only paid £17 million for him, and I believe he's going to be starting with Ahmed Hozic this season as our starting center back in that 4-2-3. And hopefully he can become absolute beast sooner rather than later, because his potential ability, I think, will actually be 5-star instead of 4.5. He's already got that current ability to where he can play, and he's 6'6", so what's not to love about that? Then our last signing was actually someone that was on the next-gen list that I found. His name is Andre de Freitas. We brought him in from Vitória de Guimarães in Portugal. 2.5-star current ability, just like Tarrant. 5-star potential ability there, though. His mental's already looking fairly solid. Technically looking fairly solid. Same there with the physicals. Can play center, attacking mid, or on the right wing. Might need to play central midfield if needed. But this kid, I think, is going to be an absolute beast. Brought him in for £40 million, and he's already worth 60, 40, 91 million pounds. So definitely going to make a profit on him if he ever does leave the club. But I kind of look at him and see a Bruno Fernandes 2.0 just without all the drama. So hopefully he can definitely live up to his potential and be an absolute beast and a big time part of this new golden generation here that we are helping assemble at Southampton. But now this is our final season, season 5. This is how we're lining up with that 4-2-3-1 again. Hopefully we can finish in mid-table again, or even better, try and shoot for Europe. Try and get that Conference League spot. But I mean, overall, they look absolutely fantastic. A lot of them have developed very well. And one thing that you will notice is that we have kept hold of Mr. Romeo Lavia the entire time. How I've done it, I don't know, because his value is well above his release clause that he has in his contract for Man City to buy him, but they haven't triggered it. So that is very good for us. Wimmer, we have not offered him a new contract yet, simply because I want to see him do a little bit more this season. And then we will potentially get that release clause out. Hopefully no one buys him, though. So, yeah, but I mean, overall, side looks very good. Let's see how they do Season 5. So, Season 5 come and gone, and fortunately for us, back-to-back mid-table finishes. What sucks once again, though, is we had a very poor end to the season. And if we had done a little bit better and not lost 17 games, because some of these losses definitely could have been wins, we probably could have finished in a Conference League spot. But I mean, we're getting there. That golden generation's coming in. Everyone's developing. Everyone's looking good. A lot of players are outdoing what I thought they would do, especially Florian Balogun, which I'll show you guys in a moment. The kind of career he has had so far at Southampton. But I mean, we're looking good. 12th is pretty solid. We're surviving comfortably now. Like it's not like how it was a couple seasons ago, where it's like we're surviving by a point. We're surviving comfortably, which is nice. And if we can become a little bit more consistent, that probably would have gone a long way. Another thing that would have gone a long way is probably offering Patrick Vimmer that contract where we remove the release clause, because he did end up getting bought for £50 million. And it was by a team that's already caused me enough pain as a Dortmund fan. He went to Bayern Munich for £50 million. Did they need him? Absolutely not. He never really did what I thought he would do, though, for us. I mean, he had 12 goals in 46 games. If we look at his stats here, I mean, this season he was on 5 goals and 8 assists. So, I mean, I guess that warrants $50 million. We made a £30 million profit, so take that. But being that we did end up making that profit, I did kind of splurge on some more of the golden generation for you guys who choose to take over. And I will show you them very quickly. Bringing in another center back because Ahmed Hozic is getting up there in age. We brought in Gökalp Irslan from FSV Mainz. We're bringing in Alex Pitt, who is actually at Blackburn, but he's on loan at Colchester. But we're bringing in Alex Pitt, who has incredible potential ability. Bringing in Gonzalo Castro from Liverpool, who could kind of play anywhere in the midfield. And I mean, a player that can do that, absolutely vital to any team. And then we're bringing in the best wonder kid according to the Next Gen list, even though his potential ability doesn't say so. 20-year-old Egyptian Mr. Ahmed Mabrouk from Atalanta. And I mean, he looks fairly solid. And if you play him up top, or if you move on Samardzic and you play him there instead, I think this kid could be absolute worldy, because I don't think that potential ability is right whatsoever, because if it is, I have no idea how he won the Next Gen award. But one last look at how the squad did in the final season. Everyone contributing when they could. Florian Balogun still scoring the most goals. He only had 17 this season, though. Assist-wise, I believe it is Mr. Woo Young Jong, again, with 8 assists, 5 goals, 8 assists. Lazar Samardzic almost broke double digits for goals, which would have been nice. But like I said, I wanted to highlight Florian Balogun. One reason why I wanted to highlight him is because, I'll move myself once again, he had 81 goals in his time here at Southampton, so 19 away from 100 goals as a player for Southampton, which would have been absolutely insane if he did hit that. I think if I were personally playing and implementing everything, that he would have hit that, if not hit even higher of a level. But I mean, he's been absolutely fantastic, and that is why you guys see him on the thumbnail. He has been the star player for this rebuild. He's been absolutely fantastic and is one of the main reasons why they have been staying up, because they need a goal. He gets it. So wrapping up this rebuild, I think that it has been fairly successful because we helped keep them up and out of relegation when they are actually going down in reality. We helped to kind of start to assemble that next golden generation, especially for those of you that want to take over this save and kind of see where you guys can take them in a 5-year span, which if you guys wish to do so, I'll be linking my Discord down below, and the file will be in the Discord for you guys to download and give a go for yourself, which I'm going to give you guys 3 challenges for. Challenge number 1, try and make it into Europe and potentially win a cup, most likely one, Europa Conference League. Then number 2, keep hold of De Freitas. He is the next Bruno Fernandes, just without the drama. So definitely try and keep hold of him because he can become very, very good, I think. And then try and keep hold of Balogun and get him to that 100 goal mark, maybe even 150, maybe even 200 at the club, because I think that that kid has been absolutely phenomenal for this side. He unfortunately right now is wanted by Atletico Madrid in the rebuild. So try and keep hold of him and keep Atletico Madrid away. But yeah, those are the 3 challenges that I'm setting for you guys. I hope you guys did enjoy today's video as well. Let me know in the comments down below what other clubs you guys want to see me rebuild moving forward, because now that a lot of the seasons across Europe are over, there's a lot of rebuild opportunities to be done. So let me know down in the comments below what you guys would like to see me do rebuild wise And next up, coming up video-wise here on the channel, we're going to be seeing what it would be like if we took Erling Haaland and Kylian Mbappe and swapped their careers. Well, with all that being said, until next time, have a good one. Bye-bye.